By the year 2029, a single human being will cross a financial threshold that has never been reached in the history of our species. They will become the world's first official trillionaire. And no, it is not Jeff Bezos. It is not Mark Zuckerberg. And it is definitely not the US government printing more money. It is Elon Musk. Now I know what you are thinking. You are looking at his current net worth, hovering around $250 to $300 billion, and you are thinking, to get to $1 trillion, he needs to quadruple his wealth. That is impossible. The math doesn't work. But that is exactly where the mainstream financial media gets it wrong. They are looking at Elon Musk through the lens of traditional business. They are evaluating him like a CEO of a car company or a legacy aerospace contractor. But Elon Musk is not building traditional companies. He is building interconnected, monopolistic ecosystems that compound in value exponentially. He is not playing a linear game, he is playing an exponential one. Today, we are going to strip away the hype, the memes, and the Twitter drama. We are going to look strictly at the cold, hard math. We will break down the exact revenue models, the hidden valuations, and the financial engineering strategies that make Musk's path to $1 trillion not just a possibility, but a mathematical certainty. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly how the first trillion-dollar fortune will be built, and more importantly, you will learn the specific wealth-building principles he uses that you can apply to your own financial life starting today. Let's look at the blueprint. To understand the trillion-dollar trajectory, we have to start with the crown jewel of Musk's empire, SpaceX. Most people think of SpaceX as a rocket company. It is not. SpaceX is a global logistics and telecommunications monopoly disguised as a rocket company. And the key to its unfathomable value lies in one word: reusability. For the entire history of spaceflight, rockets were expendable. You would build a multi-million-dollar vehicle, fly it once, and let it burn up in the atmosphere or crash into the ocean. It was the economic equivalent of building a Boeing 747, flying it from New York to London, and then throwing it away. SpaceX's Falcon 9 changed that by landing the first stage. But Starship, the massive vehicle currently in development, changes everything. Starship is designed to be fully and rapidly reusable. Let's look at the math. Currently, it costs legacy providers like United Launch Alliance roughly $10,000 to $15,000 to put a single kilogram of payload into low Earth orbit. SpaceX's Falcon 9 has already driven that down to around $2,000. But Starship? Elon Musk has stated the goal is to drive the cost of payload to orbit down to roughly $10 to $100 per kilogram. When you reduce the cost of access to space by a factor of 100, you do not just get incremental growth. You unlock entirely new markets that were previously economically impossible. First, there is Starlink. Starlink is already generating billions in annual revenue, with over 2 million subscribers globally. But the goal is not 2 million. The goal is 100 million subscribers, plus massive B2B contracts with maritime, aviation, and military sectors. At a conservative estimate of $80 a month per user, 100 million subscribers equals $96 billion in annual recurring revenue. And because the infrastructure is already in space, the profit margins on that revenue will be astronomical, easily exceeding 70%. Second, there is the NASA Artemis program and global satellite deployment. SpaceX has already secured a $3.3 billion contract just to land humans on the moon. As the global space economy races toward a projected $1 trillion valuation by 2040, SpaceX will be the toll booth everyone has to pay to get there. Third, and most speculatively, is point-to-point Earth travel. Starship is designed to carry 100 people anywhere on Earth in under an hour. If even a fraction of first-class and business-class air travel shifts to Starship, that is a multi-hundred-billion-dollar market captured by a single company with zero real competition. Wall Street currently values SpaceX at roughly $200 billion in private markets. But if you apply a standard tech multiple to its projected Starlink and launch revenues by 2030, a conservative valuation puts SpaceX alone at $500 billion to $1 trillion. And remember, Elon Musk owns roughly 42% of SpaceX. That is a $200 to $400 billion asset, growing exponentially, completely separate from Tesla. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, Tesla. The bear case for Tesla is everywhere right now. EV demand is slowing. Competition from China is fierce. Margins are compressing. If you evaluate Tesla strictly as a hardware manufacturer that sells metal boxes with wheels, the stock is massively overvalued. But that is the trap. Elon Musk has explicitly stated for years that Tesla is not a car company. It is an artificial intelligence and robotics company. The cars are just the data-gathering hardware. The real value of Tesla lies in two specific monumental pillars: full self-driving, FSD, and Optimus. Let's break down the FSD math. Currently, Tesla charges $15,000 for a lifetime FSD purchase, or $99 a month for a subscription. Let's assume a conservative future scenario where Tesla achieves true Level 4 or Level 5 autonomous driving. If Tesla can convert just 10 million of its existing vehicles to a $15,000 FSD software package, that is $150 billion in pure, high-margin software revenue. Software margins are typically 80 to 90%. That is more profit than almost any traditional automaker makes in a decade, generated from a single software update. But it goes further. If Tesla launches a dedicated robo-taxi network, the total addressable market explodes. There are roughly 1.4 billion cars in the world. The global transportation market is worth trillions. If Tesla captures even 5% of the global ride-hailing and personal transport market with autonomous vehicles, the revenue potential is in the hundreds of billions annually. Then, there is Optimus, the humanoid robot. Musk has stated the goal is to produce Optimus at a cost of roughly $20,000 per unit. Think about the global labor market. There are roughly 2 billion working-age humans on the planet. The global economy is roughly $100 trillion. If Optimus can perform basic manufacturing, logistics, and eventually complex tasks, Tesla is not competing with Ford or Toyota. It is competing with the entire global labor force. Even if Optimus only captures a fraction of 1% of the global labor market, it is a multi-trillion-dollar business on its own. When you combine the energy storage business, Megapack, which is already growing at over 100% year over year, with FSD and Optimus, a trillion-dollar valuation for Tesla is not a fantasy. It is the baseline expectation if they execute their AI roadmap. Musk's roughly 13 to 15% ownership of Tesla would then be worth $150 to $200 billion. But SpaceX and Tesla are just the foundation. To bridge the gap from $500 billion to $1 trillion, we have to look at the wild cards, Neuralink and xAI. These are highly speculative, but in the world of exponential technology, speculation is where the massive multiples are born. Neuralink is attempting to build a high-bandwidth brain-computer interface. The initial use case is medical, restoring vision to the blind, mobility to the paralyzed, and treating neurological conditions. The FDA has already approved human trials, and the early data is promising. But the long-term vision is consumer-grade brain-computer interaction. Imagine controlling your devices, accessing information, or even communicating telepathically without lifting a finger. The company that solves this will have a monopoly on the next major computing platform. Even a conservative valuation of $50 to $100 billion for Neuralink in the next decade is highly plausible. Musk's significant ownership stake here adds another 20 to 40 billion to his net worth. Then there is xAI, Musk's artificial intelligence company, creator of Grok. While OpenAI and Google are fighting over the current iteration of large language models, xAI is integrating directly with X, formerly Twitter, and Tesla's real-world data. Data is the new oil, and xAI has access to some of the most unique, real-time, human behavior data on the planet. If xAI can carve out even a 10% market share in the enterprise AI space, which is projected to be a trillion-dollar industry, its valuation could easily soar past $100 billion. When you add these wildcards together, the path to a trillion-dollar net worth becomes a matter of when, not if. Now, you might be wondering, okay, the companies will be worth trillions, but how does he actually keep that money? Won't the government tax him into oblivion? This brings us to the most crucial part of the blueprint, Musk's financial engineering strategy. It is a strategy used by the ultra-wealthy, but Musk executes it at a scale never before seen. Rule number 1 of becoming a trillionaire: do not sell your assets. When you sell stock, you trigger a taxable event. You have to pay capital gains tax, which can be upwards of 20 to 37%, depending on the jurisdiction and income level. Musk has famously stated that he will not sell Tesla stock unless absolutely necessary, like to cover tax obligations from stock option exercises. Instead, he uses a strategy often referred to as buy, borrow, die, though in his case, it is hold, borrow, and reinvest. Because his assets, Tesla and SpaceX shares, are so valuable and relatively stable in the long term, banks are more than willing to lend him billions of dollars against those shares as collateral at incredibly low interest rates. He borrows the money to fund his lifestyle or to invest in new ventures. The interest he pays on that loan is often lower than the appreciation rate of his assets. Therefore, his net worth continues to grow faster than the cost of his debt. He gets the liquidity of cash without ever triggering a taxable sale. Rule number 2, extreme concentration. Traditional financial advisors will tell you to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That is advice for preserving wealth. It is terrible advice for creating generational, historic wealth. Musk's net worth is hyper-concentrated. He does not have a diverse portfolio of blue-chip dividend stocks and real estate. Almost his entire net worth is tied to the success of his own companies. He bets on himself. When you have high conviction in your own ability to execute, concentration is the only way to achieve exponential, asymmetric returns. He is not trying to avoid risk. He is trying to control the variables of the risk, and by controlling the companies, he controls the variables. So, when will it happen? Based on the current compound annual growth rates of SpaceX, the potential margin expansion of Tesla's software business, and the inevitable maturation of the AI sector, financial models project Elon Musk will cross the $1 trillion threshold sometime between 2027 and 2030. It will be the greatest accumulation of personal wealth in human history. But here's the most important part of this video. You are not Elon Musk. You cannot build a rocket company or a global AI network. So why does this matter to you? Because the principles he uses to build this wealth are universal, and you can apply them to your own life starting today. Principle 1. Solve hard, valuable problems. Musk didn't get rich by opening another dropshipping store. He targeted industries that were stagnant, inefficient, and critical to the future of humanity: energy, transportation, and space. Look at your own career or business. Are you solving a trivial problem, or are you building a skill that is highly leveraged and difficult to replicate? Principle 2. Optimize for equity, not salary. Musk's wealth is not in his bank account. It is in his ownership stakes. If you want to build real wealth, you must transition from trading your time for money, a salary, to owning assets that appreciate and generate cash flow while you sleep. Whether that is a business, real estate, or a diversified stock portfolio, you must own equity. Principle 3. Play the long game. Musk nearly went bankrupt in 2008. He was mocked, ridiculed, and written off. But he had a multi-decade time horizon. Stop trying to get rich in 6 months. Stop chasing the latest meme coin or get-rich-quick scheme. Build a boring, consistent, long-term wealth-building system, and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. The first trillionaire is coming. The math is already written. The only question is whether you will be a spectator watching it happen, or whether you will use these same principles to build your own version of financial freedom. If this breakdown shifted your perspective on how extreme wealth is actually built, hit that subscribe button. We are building a community of people who refuse to accept the default financial script and choose to engineer their own future. Your time is your most valuable asset. Invest it wisely. I will see you in the next one.